This is TopSpin 2K25. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is the long-awaited, I guess you could say, return of the TopSpin series. Originally part of the XSN initiative from Xbox way back in the day. It's been quite a while since we've had a TopSpin game, and actually a tennis game that aims to provide a higher quality of simulation and designed to capture the sport. So that's kind of exciting if you're really into tennis, as this is one of the more technically challenging and mechanical games we've seen. It's not just as simple as slapping the ball back and forth. There's a lot more to this. So what are we getting here? It's a 4K resolution, 60 FPS, and there is spatial sound support, there's Dolby Atmos support, and yeah, you know what, this actually does look pretty clean and pretty well put together. Locally, play up to 4, online, competitively play 2 players, which is a little disappointing if you're wanting to do doubles online, so I'm hoping that maybe that is something that we see down the road. So yeah, we've got a wide range of different game modes and ways to play. In general, the game is about building a character and kind of improving them and your stats along the way. What was that? So anyways, it's rather interesting, and a lot of the game kind of revolves around the idea of hitting in this like little target area in order to, basically score points and just kind of hit better plays back and forth. And yeah, you know what? It's a little challenging to do that and talk. So if you're wondering about really bad moves, that's kind of why. So let's talk about the different modes in this game. So in the game, you're able to... Oh, that was pretty clean. Play just regular exhibition. That's where you jump in. You can use your created character. You can choose from a selection of all-stars, some of the biggest names in tennis today and in the past. Pick a difficulty and dive in. You can also choose to be in doubles and whatnot, and this is also where you do like your local competition for tennis stuff if you like. And yeah, pretty straightforward, right? I mean, it's your exhibition mode. Then we have the career. So the career is, again, where I was saying, you're building your character. You're making an individual. There's the male side, the female side, and then you're going and doing like training events if you want to, which I thought were kind of little boring, weird mini games. But if that's your thing, that's an option for you to kind of do, right? That's totally up to you. But the training is where you get like XP, because you really have to grind your character level. You really have to grind your character out, because the stats in this and the attributes definitely make a big deal, especially on like normal or harder. Like there's actually quite a bit of challenge, and I actually found this fairly difficult to kind of do well in in that regard, for like kind of competing until I was really building up my attribute points. And you can really notice it when you're playing as like these pro players and they have like level, I think it's like 30 stats, and it's like it makes a big difference. I wasn't able to get there fast enough. That's rough. So yeah, then you kind of make your way up into tournaments. You're trying to build your fame. It's not really like too full of depth, if that makes sense. Like, it does have the training, it does have some fun little events that pop up, but you're not really like other games that do this sort of thing where you're kind of like building up your like legacy and your rank, have a bit more like fun to it. So it would be cool if it dove, I think, a little bit more into the lifestyle of like tennis. And there's a lot of drama with tennis stuff all the time, and it would just kind of be fun if there was more of a personal touch to it, if that makes sense. Like some of those sport games where it's kind of like a little silly perhaps to some, but it would be nice if this had a little bit more of a a seriousness to it, if that made sense. Like, it would just be kind of cool if it was like, oh, there's stuff going on outside the court, and I don't know, it'd just kind of be like a fun extra, just to make the mode feel a little bit more lively, as it is kind of like a pretty tame sort of doing and playing and just kind of going. And you can get injuries and stuff. I had the tennis knee, and you gotta rest in that, and yeah, it impacts your play. It's got some neat systems to it. I will definitely say that there's some interesting stuff there, but like leveling felt really slow, and like it kind of feels like you're almost encouraged to kind of buy like extra XP boosters and stuff like that. It felt a little ridiculous because I had a level 10 jump for like a booster to immediately get to level 10, and then like to get to like level 11 took like a few hours, and it was just a little, felt like a lot. I don't know if it was just going slow because I wasn't doing well enough or something, I don't know, but if it felt a bit slow in that regard. And then after the career mode, which again kind of makes up the big chunk of this one, there is the online multiplayer. So online is ranked, and then there's the non-ranked regular exhibition stuff. People are pretty good at this game, and I had a lot of things where it's like the networks weren't great, and usually my connection is pretty decent, so I don't know if that's just like a server thing or early jitters or something like that, but kind of what I was feeling. And there seems to be kind of like some cheap sort of spots for serving where you kind of get like an insta kind of like serve win thing. I don't know if it's easy to hit, but some people were always aggressively pushing for like one particular part of the serve, and it was like a little ridiculous. So yeah, then finally we have the career build-up mode. So for online, it takes your custom character that you have made, and you compete against other people's custom characters. And, that's where your stats really come into play, and it was interesting. So it's sort of like a lot of other kind of sports games I play, they do that, like hockey, they have like the EASHL. And that's where you kind of do your custom characters and you build up your stats. And I think NBA 2K does that as well. Because obviously this is like, TopSpin 2K, right? So that's where a lot of the inspirations are going to come from, is the kind of the stuff and the technology of like those games. So another layering to it is that there is like battle pass progression. There's 6 seasons set up for this game already. We're in the first season. I guess they've... So this game is going to get at least some guaranteed support over 6 seasons, which is interesting. I don't know why you need a battle pass in tennis, but it has like quite a bit of content stuff to it. It just like, it seemed really noticeable and kind of stuck out to me, and it's like, I normally don't necessarily dive into that kind of thing, as it is kind of a standard for video games nowadays to have like battle passes and other, like, there's a whole store of stuff you can buy, like cosmetics and everything like that. But I just like, I thought it was really weird because I was like, oh, battle pass in a tennis game, and there's lots of like items and boosters and stuff you can get through it. So I guess if you're like really into it, there's stuff to unlock, but like, I just can't imagine myself grinding out a tennis battle pass, let alone 6 seasons of it. But everybody's trying to get value and stuff out of their games, so I guess that's kind of interesting. But that's sort of like the layout of the different modes. So that's like the center focus of it. The center of this game being, you are making a character, you are trying to improve them, you're trying to grind out the levels, use stats to make your character stronger. Like, you'll have attribute points that you build up, and I think 70 is the cap on those. And then you can have like a coach, and the coach will like, you'll get bonuses based on your performance. Like one coach, it's like, okay, win this many matches, and then you can kind of level up your coach, and there's the in-game currency that kind of factors into that. And then from that point, you're essentially like, kind of building up your player, and then you can get these extra kind of like bonus things on top as well. So you can get like some sort of like racket grip, and there's a few of these categories that will impact your ability to like perform as well. They give you extra bonuses, so it definitely is kind of trying to be a bit more of a RPG like role playing kind of thing, if that makes sense. Like they're attempting to add a little bit more, you know, RPG mechanics and depth to it, which I think is kind of interesting. Okay, so let's switch up the match a little bit just so you can see some different characters in action. Yeah, good win and all that. I don't really care. So new exhibition because I just want to show off some different characters and whatnot. We're not doubles is a little too chaotic for me. I can't handle the. Well, we should probably show off doubles, but the chaos of it drives me crazy. So I will be my custom character, and I will play with. Where's that one lady I usually play as? Yeah, you know, she used to be a Canadian there. Okay, so I want to be this person. And then we'll go against Andy Murray, or should we go against, yeah, Taylor Fritz? Okay. And then my side character will be Emma, who again was born in Canada but is British, I guess. And we'll go up against Serena Williams because she's, you know, obviously kind of a big deal, let's put it that way. We'll do the Australian Open. So I digress, and I go back to what I was talking about. So a lot of this is based around those sort of role-playing mechanics, and it would be cool to see if we do get a further topspin down the line, that they just kind of expand the career mode, because it kind of feels a bit basic, if that makes sense. Like, it is very much, you have your character, and the character customization is great. It's fantastic. It's really in-depth, and, you know, you kind of earn clothing, or you can buy clothing, and all that kind of stuff. You get what I mean. And then from there, you know, kind of a little grindy for your leveling, I thought, for skills. And, you know, I think that does impact things a little bit, too, is, you know, just how challenging it can be to really make an impact out there. Ugh. Leave me alone, Serena. Leave me alone. So that's that aspect of it. But it would be cool to see that kind of build up where it's kind of like, you're like a hotshot tennis player on the scene, and you're making a mark, and because it does feel pretty basic for like a career mode, especially considering we've seen so many different sports games with unique modes and stuff like that. I don't know if they're necessarily amazing or anything too crazy when they do those kind of career build-ups, but it would just be fun to see it kind of expand and just become a little bit more larger in scale in terms of what it offers and whatnot. So I don't mind career mode, I just kind of wish there was a little bit more to it. So I hope that kind of makes sense to that aspect of it. And, you know, exhibition, pretty straightforward. Online stuff, pretty straightforward. And that's kind of the game, right? Like, that is the modes, the features, and everything like that. So let's talk about the greater game itself. So this game is actually packed with a ton of content. Like, there are just a pile of courts. You gotta, like, unlock and earn more courts and whatnot, but it has an amazing selection of different places that you can play across the world. Really, really unique locations. I don't know if every single one of them is real, but there's some in like ancient ruins and stuff like that. But I really did like the style they had going for this one in terms of different courts and that you could get, and then different types of materials for those courts too. You know, from like clay, and then, you know, like more of a hard surface. So they have different services, and you can play at different times of the day. And this is a very technical tennis game, as I was kind of saying at the beginning of my review there, is just, I'm used to tennis games where you very much just tap a button, and that's kind of like your move, in terms of like how your ball is interacted, you know, spinning around, doing... You get what I'm saying, is usually tennis games are very straightforward. Whereas this one, with that bar of technicality, it makes it a lot harder to play. And on normal, I do find it fairly difficult. And it's like, yeah, you know, there are other elements to it. And it's a little hard to focus, too, when I'm doing content, right? Because I'm like, streaming this game, I'm reviewing it, so it's a little harder to focus and hit things, but still in general, when I'm outside of that as well, I do find it to be very mechanical and very technical. And that's very interesting because we don't have really high-end tennis games like this anymore. There have been a few decent tennis games over the years, I will say. I've had some pretty quality experiences here or there. But this is definitely the most impressive in that regard. Like, it actually seems like they're trying to make a more serious tennis game that you can enjoy, that simulates the sport, offers a lot of challenges, and is just more than, tapping the ball back and forth. Like, you actually gotta time things right, you gotta get that power going, you gotta get a commanding shot out there. And it makes a big difference in your returns and how well you're doing. And it's just, like, it kind of makes it a little harder, too, right? Because you are under the pressure to actually hit the ball really well at a certain time. And doubles is, like, extra kind of conflict in that regard, too, for me. So it's just this, like, neat technical element of, like, how you hit the ball back and forth. And I think that just adds a nice layering of creativity, and just, like, if you do a bad swing, you're gonna, like, get a terrible result, and it's gonna be out, and that is kind of a little crazy to me. And I think visually the game does look really, really good. I mean, as far as, like, sports games of the modern era, you've got a very diverse crowd of individuals. They're all kinds of different outfits, and they're all doing different things. And, like, I thought it was funny. I saw there was one woman that was playing on her phone, and then her husband, like, brought up his phone, and she was looking at it and stuff, and I was like, wow, I'm playing so badly that these people literally don't care about what I'm doing, and they're virtual. They're literally programmed to sit there and be into what I'm doing, and how I'm performing, and they literally didn't care. I was like, wow, okay. I mean, that hurts my feelings a little bit, but, like, I accept that for what it is, I guess. So, that's what I'm trying to say, is, like, that's very well done. These, like, superstar characters, I think, are very well crafted and well put into this game. They look very authentic to their real world locations. The game fluidly runs. It looks fine. I didn't have any visual real issues or technical kind of problems. It all ran perfectly fine the whole way through. There's a nice sense of detail within the environment. You've got all these different, like I said, crowd people, but you've also got people on the sides. You've got cameras. You got small little things here or there. And depending on where you're playing, too, you get, just a wide variety of unique stadiums. And then, as I had mentioned, different... Ooh, that was aggressive. Different times of day, and they just, again, really hit the mark quite well in terms of, the places, the locations, and the courts, and just the tournament action that's going on in this. It's really genuinely impressive. So if you've been waiting for a premium, high-end tennis experience, I think this does it really well. There's great replay mechanics, there's a great sense of scale. It's not necessarily on, like, the cutting edge of visuals, but you get a really in-depth character customization. You get a place that looks realistic. You get character clothing and movement, everything like that looks great. I think this looks fantastic. I think it's really nice to have a tennis game that's actually of a premium quality like this again, because we haven't had anything like this in forever. Like I was mentioning, it really does feel like we haven't had a tennis game, like a proper tennis game like this in ages. So just a great plethora of areas, courts, and places to play. You got your core career mode that I do wish they would expand upon a little bit more, and I wish it wasn't so grindy. Then you've got your exhibition stuff, you got your multiplayer. It all functions pretty well. I do notice sometimes, though, your character tends to just kind of, like, stand there and not react, even if you're kind of moving the controller around, which I thought is a bit odd. And then afterwards, you'll, like, be like, oh, and it's strange there. So I don't know if that's just a bug or just not, like, me not performing well or something, but that's something I kind of noticed. And not, like, when it's out, my character knows that and doesn't, like, play the ball or something, but just, yeah, it's kind of common enough that I was like, that's a little bit weird. So I think if you're serious about tennis, and you're serious about tennis games, and you liked, TopSpin back in the day, and you've been waiting for a proper tennis game for a long time, this is definitely your go-ahead. I don't necessarily believe this will be an annualized series, but it would definitely be interesting to see if that does become a thing. But regardless, I'm happy for the return of TopSpin. I missed this series. I thought it was pretty cool back in the day, and I missed serious tennis games, I think. I missed something that literally tried to be a little bit more mechanical and technical. And you know what? I'm finding it a little bit harder to get fully into because of that, but I think over time, as I get more used to the mechanics and the style of play, I'll end up really loving this, and it's a great entry in the series.